Have you ever felt the world pressing down on you so heavily that even moving seems impossible? Not because of one moment, but because of everything, the endless problems, the injustice, the suffering you see and feel powerless to change. That quiet voice in your mind whispers, "Why even try? Nothing you do will ever matter." Most people stop there. Most people look at the impossible and walk away. But sometimes the smallest, quietest act unnoticed, unplanned can begin something far bigger than you imagine. A boy walked along the shore after the tide had gone out. The sand stretched endlessly before him, littered with thousands of starfish stranded under the sun. The sight could have overwhelmed him. It could have frozen him. But he didn't pause. He didn't measure. He didn't calculate. He only saw one starfish, one fragile life, and he acted. A small splash, a ripple that vanished almost immediately, and the starfish disappeared beneath the waves. Then he bent for another and another. He didn't think, "I can't save them all." He didn't weigh the futility of the act. Each motion was instinctive, almost meditative, a quiet rhythm of care. It was the kind of focus that comes when thought falls away, leaving only movement and purpose. From a distance, an old man had been watching. He had seen the boy repeat the same motion over and over, lifting starfish, placing them in the water. Curiosity had turned to disbelief, and finally he approached. "What are you doing, child?" the man asked. The boy didn't stop. He picked up another starfish and tossed it into the water. "I'm saving them," he said softly. The man shook his head. "Look around you. There are thousands here. You can't possibly save them all. Don't you see? It won't make a difference. Why do you bother?" For a heartbeat, the boy froze. He held the next starfish in his hands. For a moment, the words seemed true. The problem was too big. His two hands were too small. But then, slowly, he bent down again. He lifted the starfish and looked at the old man. His voice was calm but firm. It made a difference to that one. Those words hung in the air, simple and undeniable. The old man stood still, his gaze fixed on the boy's hands. For the first time, he bent down himself. His tired fingers closed around a starfish, and he placed it carefully in the water. And then something remarkable began to happen. Others, walking nearby, slowed their pace. They watched, they saw, and one by one they began to help. Hands multiplied across the sand. They could not save them all, but far more starfish returned to the water than would have because one boy refused to believe that his effort was meaningless. The boy didn't know how far his actions would reach. He didn't need to. Each small gesture carried its own quiet power. Life will always present challenges that seem too big for one person, pain too heavy to carry alone. And yet, even the smallest act, simple, repeated, intentional, can ripple outward in ways no one can predict. He kept moving, picking up starfish, lifting them, releasing them, as if each motion was a pulse of hope. And slowly, invisibly, a lesson was unfolding, not from a teacher, not from a book, but from life itself. Courage is not the absence of fear. Kindness is not measured by its scale. Change is not always immediate, but it is real when someone refuses to turn away. Sometimes, simply starting is enough. Sometimes, lifting one small life when everything seems impossible is everything. And the truth is, you don't have to see the full impact of what you do to know it matters. Every act of care, every choice to act instead of turning away, ripples farther than you can imagine. If this story made you pause, made you feel the quiet power of small actions, then stay with me. Subscribe, and let's keep discovering the lessons that life teaches, lessons about courage, kindness, and the ways even the smallest acts can change the world.